I mean, well, actually, I want to start with Akpala because it's really easy. Because we've known for like the last 2 or 3 weeks that Akpala was going to make this team. I think it was obvious that he probably had the most trust from Mike Brown as it was of the three players that came from the Nigerian national team, which includes Metu. And the starts and it's the defensive ability and the way they can use him on that end of the floor is, it just seemed like this guy's going to be on the team. And he's going to play a fair bit, probably based on matchups. He's probably going to start on opening night if Keegan Murray can't play, which he, as of now, doesn't seem to be any closer to playing. So, expect him to be the starter going in. Even if Murray was playing, wouldn't be surprised to see him start. So, there's really no surprise with Akpala. I think when final cuts came along and Akpala made the team, that wasn't main center of the focus. Neither really was Dellavedova because Quinn Cook got cut, but I could still see it. It's good to know that he got. I should say, Cook was waived, not cut, but we kind of knew that meant that Dellavedova was going to be on the team. But it did mean something for the other two guys, Moneke, what we were saying. And I just think, everything that Moneke gives you is, you can totally build off of that. There's a ceiling there that can be filled out. And he's never played in the NBA before. And, Mike Brown believes in him. He's in an environment where he's comfortable, and it seems like it's a pretty positive environment. So I think it's just especially if you're going to keep that 14th or 15th guy on the roster that those two inactive spots, it's just who better? And when he gets his opportunities to play, he really proved it in the last preseason game that he can go in there and be pretty effective. And you saw it in the last practice before that preseason game. He was with the starters because Murray was hurt, and I think Akpala hadn't started the previous preseason game. Trey Lyles did, and Chima was playing with the starters, and he got good minutes with primary rotation guys in the last preseason game, and I think that was huge because it's okay, so you put him around really good talent. He knows how to fill in the cracks. He never gives up on plays. He plays hard. He tries to do the right thing, and he's improved at doing the right thing. Like I said, I think that first game against LA, things were pretty rocky. But you think about the last game with LA, I mean, he looked great. And I think he's just the perfect guy that you want to keep there. And we said it at the beginning of training camp. It's this guy is an energy guy, and he's an effort guy. People are going to really fall in love with him. Not just because of the underdog story, not just because of the UC Davis story, but because of what he does, how he plays. And it's good to see that is exactly, paired with the background he has with Mike Brown. It's so good to see that paid off. And I think that could really, turn into something really good in terms of a guy that can function on this team as a role player.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny, the last four guys, to, I guess, make that cut before Merrill got cut, that we all kind of had questions about were the four guys on this team now that played under Mike Brown when Mike Brown was a head coach, which was, Dellavedova back in Cleveland, and then the three Nigerian national team members. And I think that's important in itself because, especially with these four guys, I mean, it sounds like Akpala will get some starts to begin the season, and probably have more rotational minutes than maybe Metu, Dellavedova, and Moneke, as the season goes on. But it's important. It's important to have these guys who know Mike Brown's system, who won't be playing too much, and will have to be plugged in here and there. But at least you can be confident in knowing that when they do, get some playing time, that they know the system as well as the starters because they've been here before. This isn't technically their first rodeo under Mike Brown's system. They've done it before,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that's also important to know.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And moving on to Metu, which is we talked about it last week. It's Metu's entering his third year with the Kings, his fifth season in the league. How much more evaluation of this guy do you need? And if Mike Brown has trust in him, if Mike Brown thinks he can bring the best out of him, well then, what the hell? I mean, he's going to know that better than anybody, I guess, and we're going to find out if that's true or not. But again, like, we are talking about the bottom of the roster. So it's not like, these guys are going to have to really kind of like go above and beyond what they're expected to really get more play time than they're going to be awarded, as it stands. But I still can't help but wonder what Chimezie Metu adds to this team. I mean, I get what he adds to this team. I think he can be good in the pick and roll, as maybe a kind of get up there for an alley oop, maybe do a little pick and pop. If he can get in rhythm, his shot can go down from three or from mid range. But it's just like, other than that, it's just like I don't see him being that kind of like steady, beating, constantly moving player like Okpala or Moneke. Metu just seems a lot more. He seems like he's got that scorer's mentality. He wants the ball in his hands. Yeah, he'll hold it for a long time too. And I wonder, like we said it a few weeks ago, it's like, would you be surprised if Chimezie Metu's not on this roster anymore, not with this team by the end of the season? And of course, like, none of us would be surprised. And I'm rooting for him to be able to do the right thing. I mean, like, if he can go out there and be effective, if he can be utilized in the ways that I said, and hit his shots when they come without forcing them and trying to do the little things, then all the power to him. But it's just like, is that Chimezie Metu?
No, of course not. Yeah, I mean, we've seen Metu. This will be his third year. We know what he's capable of, and we know the many things he's not. And I mean, enough said, really. You brought him in to be a stretch four, and he's not. He can't shoot at a high enough clip to be considered a stretch four. And yeah, maybe Mike Brown, like you said, pick and roll, whatever. Maybe he can utilize him in a better way, but I mean, already at that power forward position, it's getting kind of crowded. So we'll see. I mean, this might be the last year that Metu's in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or the better, too.
Yeah. We'll just have to see. We'll see. Maybe he'll prove us wrong. Mezzi Mamba might come out and stay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always hope people prove me wrong, but I mean, at this point, exactly, what we've seen is just, the odds are against him. The numbers don't lie.
The thing, there's nothing that would make me more happy, honestly, than to see Malik Monk make an all-defensive team, De'Aaron Fox be in the three-point shooting contest and win it, and then see Metu be part of this rotation nightly. There's nothing make me happier. But would I put money on that stuff? No.
Exactly. No. That's a good way of putting it.